Most people have heard the word alpha. They've read about it, they've watched videos about it, and some people have even attended seminars where alpha was being discussed. But here's something I've noticed after more than half a century of teaching people how to access higher states of consciousness. Very few people have actually experienced it. And that distinction is much more critical than most people realize. Because understanding something intellectually and experiencing it directly are two totally different things. Most people spend their lives collecting more information, more books, more courses, more videos, more techniques, and yet very little changes. And the reason is simple. Information does not automatically create transformation. Transformation happens when something changes within you. Within you. Not intellectual understanding. When your experience changes, when the way that you function internally changes, that's where alpha becomes very important. You see, most people spend their day operating from habit patterns. The same thoughts, the same emotional reactions, the same internal pressures, the same mental conversations, day after day, year after year. And many people don't even realize that it's happening because it has become normal. But what if there was another way to function? What if clarity was not something that you had to force? What if creativity was not something you had to struggle for? What if calm confidence became more normal, became more natural? This is one of the reasons why I became interested in higher states of consciousness many decades ago. I wanted to understand why some people were able to change their lives, whilst others remained trapped in the same old patterns. Over time, I discovered something very interesting. People try to change their results without changing the state that those results came from, the state where those results had been created, if you will. They work harder, they push more, they gather more information, especially in the age of AI. But they remain in the same internal operating state. And because of that, the same patterns continue. Like I said, most people have heard of alpha, but they have never experienced what it feels like when their mind quiets down, when their thinking becomes less reactive, when ideas begin to emerge naturally, when they stop fighting themselves internally. Alpha is not simply a concept, it's an experience of different states of consciousness, different brainwave frequencies. Alpha is not simply a concept, it is an experience. And that's why explaining alpha can only go so far. At some point, it must be experienced. It's a little like trying to explain the taste of a special food that someone has never tasted before. Something from a different country and so on, so the taste is unique. It has to be experienced. You can describe it, you can talk about it, but until they experience it for themselves, they don't really know. Today, we're living in a world that is changing faster than ever before. Artificial intelligence is accelerating everything. Information is everywhere, at the tips of your fingers. But information is no longer the advantage that it once was. Adaptability is becoming the advantage. Clarity is becoming the advantage. And the ability to function differently internally is becoming the advantage. And that's why I believe that higher states of consciousness are becoming more important, not less. Most people are trying to solve tomorrow's challenges using the same internal pattern that created yesterday's results and yesterday's problems. That approach becomes increasingly difficult in a rapidly changing world. That's just common sense. The future belongs to those people who can adapt, who can learn, who can remain calm under pressure, who can access creativity when everybody else is becoming overwhelmed. And in my experience, that journey begins with experiencing a different state of consciousness. Not understanding it, experiencing it. Now, if you'd like to experience Alpha for yourself, I invite you to join the waiting list for the next Experience Masterclass. The link is in the description below or in the pinned comments. Most people have heard of Alpha, but the question is, have you ever actually experienced it? Subscribe for more views on higher consciousness, leadership, and human potential. Leave a comment below and let me know, have you ever experienced a moment where your mind felt unusually calm, clear, and creative? Let me know. And if you'd like to experience the Alpha state for yourself, join the waiting list for the next Alpha Experience Masterclass. The link is in the description. Au revoir.